All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting episode of Daily December 2022. This is day 23. We're getting close to Christmas, folks. Today, I made a video, a really fast video a couple days ago where I just said I was sick and I just hadn't had a chance to make a video and asked you guys for suggestions of other characters I could create because I had a lot of fun doing this. Like this was super fun when I made the fighter before. And I got two suggestions from that. One is to make a Transformers character, which I'm definitely doing, but because I already have everything set up for it, the other suggestion was, well, yeah, you showed us a really cool fighter, but that doesn't really show kind of the versatility of fourth edition. That just showed us a fighter. For all we know, that's how all fighters work. So I figured I would do that today. I'm not going to do a full 1 to 30 one because I just don't have the time. It is 10 o'clock right now when I'm filming this, and I need to have this done and uploaded before midnight. So we're just going to do 1 to 10 to give you guys a little bit of an idea of just kind of the different direction a fighter can go. And then, depending on the time, I may make a separate video for this, or I may do it in this one. Again, depends on time. I'm going to create another fighter, effectively subclass. The way that 4th edition worked as far as classes was you did have different kind of flavors of the same class, and they would have a different name, but they were effectively the same thing. Like one of the quote up subclasses of fighter was the knight, which is one of the essentials lines of characters, which I'm actually going to be doing a video on that in relation to how 1D&D is, because there are a lot of similarities between the essentials lines for 4th edition and what 1D&D looks to be doing and what they say they want to do with 1D&D. So the idea that 1D&D is going to be D&D 5.5 is stronger than ever. But anyway, so yeah, the knight would effectively be a subclass of fighter. So theoretically, I'm trying to see if I can find one of the actual subclasses. But anyway, yeah. So I was thinking about just trying a different kind of melee based fighter style kick a character. But we'll see how that goes. Right now, we're gonna build another fighter, folks. So let's dive into this. And I keep hitting my mouse. All right, so let's go here. This should look familiar to you. Again, we're going to do the fighter. This time I'm not going to limit myself just to the player's handbook because I really want to show off kind of just... Obviously, this was not in the first player's handbook. Like, all the stuff in here is not going to be in the first player's handbook. But I want to show off just how cool 4th edition got. So, we're going to do a fighter again. We're not going to be, when we choose our race, we're not going to be a Dragonborn this time because I really want to give some variety out. As you did before, remember, combat superiority was the thing that we did before, and that went into our marking. So we're going to do combat agility this time to make things a little bit different. An enemy adjacent to you takes an action, provokes an opportunity attack. The triggering enemy completes the action. You shift a number of squares equal to dexterity modifier. You must end the shift closer to the target than you were when you began the shift. Then you make the following attack. So this is basically, instead of an opportunity attack, we have this combat agility thing where we get to basically run after them instead of, whereas combat superiority, we would just go, bop, no. This one, we go, oh, no, go ahead. I'll wait. Boom, no. And we get to knock them prone. So that's fun. So we're going to do that for our kind of core ability. And then, again, last time we took one-handed weapon talent, which is just anytime you use one-handed weapons, you get a +1 bonus to the attack rolls. The other thing that came in the player's handbook is two-handed weapon. So that meant if you use two-handed. But, as you can see, there's a lot more here, like arena training. You treat all weapons with you which you are not proficient as improvised weapon. You get a +2 proficiency bonus to attack rolls with improvised weapons. Your attack with one-handed improvised weapons deal 1d8 damage. Your attack with two-handed improvised weapons deals 1d10. And when you're not wearing heavy armor, you get a bonus to AC. And you select 2 weapons as your arena weapons. If you are not already proficient with these weapons, you gain proficiency with them. In addition, any of your feats that grant feat bonuses to attack rolls or damage rolls with one of your arena weapons applies to the other weapon as well. So, first things first, this sounds super, super powerful. It's because it's part of the Dark Sun campaign setting, and Dark Sun is and has always been brutal. So a Dark Sun character was going to be more powerful than a base character. And if you look at all the cool stuff you can do with this, basically every weapon you can wield because they count as improvised weapons. And they all do either a d8 or a d10 of damage, depending on whether they're one-handed or two. And the thing that's really, really crazy about this, if you remember when we built the fighter before, there was all those things where if you hit with a mace or a spear, you got this additional effect. Or if you hit with a heavy or light blade, you got this additional effect. So what you could do, you choose 2 arena weapons, and as long as you choose different categories of weapons, because any feats that grant feat bonuses to attack rolls or damage rolls with one of your arena weapons apply to your other arena weapon as well. So you effectively could kind of double stack a little bit and get a little bit wider thing. Now, this only applies to attack rolls and damage rolls, so you wouldn't get the additional stuff, but it's an interesting thing because, again, it's designed for Dark Sun and you're designed to have more powerful characters for that. We're going to skip out on that. We're going to go with something a little different. Battle Rager is actually something that shows up in 5th edition. This one, effectively, anytime you hit an enemy with a melee or close weapon attack, you get hit points. And yeah, you also, when wearing light or chainmail, you get a +1 bonus to damage rolls with melee and close weapons whenever you have temporary hit points. And then you get more if it's an axe, a hammer, a mace, or a pick. So we have that. We have Brawler Style, which I think I might do. While you wield a weapon in your primary hand, your offhand is free or grabbing creature. Get a +1 bonus to AC, +2 bonus to Fortitude. And you get bonuses to attack rolls of unarmed attack, bonuses to attack rolls of grab attacks, and attacks to move a creature you're grabbing. As you guys know, I'm a monk. I like punchy stuff. I'm thinking I'm gonna make a Brawler Style, a punchy fighter. Like I'm totally into that. I want to look at Tempest Technique real quick. Oh, and this is a dual wielding one. So if you wanted to build a dual wielding for fighter, which dual wielding in 4th edition really was not great unless you specifically had a class that was built around 2-weapon fighting, which I think the fighter might actually have some stuff that lets you do that. But really, you really needed to be like a ranger in order to get the most out of 2-weapon fighting. For everyone else, it would give you like combat advantage every so often. So I think you're going to go Brawler Style. Going to be a punchy fighter, because of course I am. And then I never use this stuff, because all the build is, the reason it says it's optional, all the build is it picks a bunch of your starting abilities for you. Which is great for new players. If you're not sure what you're supposed to pick, you go, well, I want to be a Battle Rager fighter, and it tells you this is the feat you should take. For suggested skills, these are the skills you should have. Your at-will powers should be this. Your encounter in your daily. So that's what they are. I don't use them because I know the system well enough. I don't need them. So anyway, that's what we've got. All that cool stuff there. We are a punching fighter. We're going to go next. We're going to choose a race. We want something. Strength and con would be good. A dwarf would be fun. Because again, we're gonna want the Constitution. Just because again, Constitution is useful for fighters in general. We're gonna be strength based, so that wouldn't be too bad. Humans are always useful. Because they get a bonus feat at first level. Or we could go a little bit further. We could go Goliath. Goliaths are fun. So Goliaths are effectively half giants. which they have in 5th edition, but in 4th edition, Goliath was a new thing. They used to be called half giants, and they really only showed up in Dark Sun. So we could do that. We could be a shifter. Shifters are fun. That's strength, wisdom, dex, wisdom. So Longtooth Shifter. Longtooth Shifter would be really fun. So once you get bloodied as a Longtooth Shifter, you get a +2 bonus to your damage rolls, and then you gain regeneration 2, which means you regain 2 hit points every turn. So that's kind of cool. That would be really fun. I think I'm gonna go Shifter just because it's got the stuff that we want. Wisdom is still relatively useful, so we choose Longtooth Shifter. And then for a language, let's go Draconic so we can speak with Dar, who was our fighter from before. We can change the picture in a little bit here. So we've got that. I want to go back to the class real quick, so I gotta remember, despite the fact that we chose combat ability instead of I still should have, so combat challenge. So that's still the ability to mark. So combat challenge is the marking, and then combat agility is anytime there would be an opportunity attack, combat agility kicks in. So that's cool. All right, so we're going to next. We don't need any of this stuff. Again, backgrounds are something that's really cool. They were kind of introduced with Dark Sun because, again, you needed strong characters. So your Dark Sun theme actually gave you new abilities and stuff like that and made you more powerful. We're not going to do that, but they are super fun. To give you an example, like Ephesian Minstrel. So you were basically like a bard from Athos, which is the world of Dark Sun. But it gave you this. You've learned how to keep a weapon completely hidden from searching eyes. So the target weapon is invisible until the end of the encounter or until you attack with it. The first target you attack with a weapon affected by this power grants you combat advantage. So you get to just make a weapon disappear. You get poison, a poison attack you can make. Like you can see, this is very, like, look at all the abilities that you get. It is basically like giving yourself a subclass. And all the quote-unquote, it lists them all as Dark Sun themes. They're not all Dark Sun. Like Devil's Pawn is from Neverwinter. But they're all going to do something similar to that, where they just give you a bunch of extra stuff. This is kind of a subclass type thing. So we're not going to mess with those, but that's another thing that you can do to do cool stuff. So we're going to go ability score. We're going to auto pick because it's just easier. Again, they gave us dexterity instead of con. I don't know why. I guess dexterity is useful. I'm going to just trust the builder and ignore the fact that we have a 10 constitution. Whatever. We're not the one that gets extra hit points based on our constitution, so I guess I'm fine with that. So go next. We choose skills. We got to use athletics. I like the idea of Streetwise and Intimidate, because Streetwise is basically, understanding how the real world works. And as you can see here, they have like a roll you're supposed to make. I never used it this way when I ran 4th edition. It was just like, hey, do I want to know something about how the town works? Cool, then I'll make a Streetwise check. Do I want to know who the movers and the shakers are? It's a Streetwise check. Easy stuff. So, powers. Let's see the cool stuff we have. Oxheimer Mace. We don't want that. Cleave is always fun. But we did that for our last one, so... I don't know what invigorating means. I think that has to do with that other, the Battle Rager fighting style. Specifically mentioned things with invigorating. Dual strike. So here's where you can actually use 2-weapon fighting if you wanted to make a 2-weapon fighter. This would be something that would be very useful to you because you must be wielding 2 weapons. And then footwork lure. So this is kind of a cool one. So strength versus AC. But you can shift one square and slide the target one square into the space you left. So you effectively hit them in the face and then pull them with you. And so this is kind of more of a control type thing with Grappling Strike. You must have a hand free, so this definitely fits, and it specifically lists Brawler Style, so this would be even better. Hit one weapon plus strength mod. You can grab the target. The grab ends automatically at the end of your next turn. And grabbed basically means, if I remember correctly, it means their speed is 0 and stuff like that. Very similar to how it works in 5th edition. And this, when making an opportunity attack, you can use this power in place of a melee basic attack. So, if instead of just making a melee attack, or if, remember, we have that chase ability, the combat agility, allows you to kind of shift a number of squares equal to your dexterity modifier. And then make an attack. So we basically would have, let's go back to powers. We would basically have choices with Brawler Style, which is, it's okay, but we already have something to deal with opportunity attacks. The one issue with the one that we, the chase one, is we can only move a total of 2 squares. So if they move more than 2 squares, we won't be able to make our attack. Whereas this, we just get to grapple them and they don't get to go anywhere. So that one's kind of cool. I might go back and change back to the other one just because it doesn't work very well. We have at least one more, I think, that's going to work with this. Well, this is kind of cool. So this is Threatening Rush. So you mark each enemy adjacent to you until the end of your next turn. And then if you charge, you can use this instead of a melee basic attack. Charge is a special type of, I think they're called a full action. It uses your or it's a standard action, but you move forward and then you make an attack. You get a little bonus to it. So that would be kind of cool. Let's see if we have any other cool stuff here. There's a two-handed weapon that lets you switch weapons and has a different effect for each weapon you have. That's kind of cool. That's interesting. Sure strike, I know that one. Slash and pummel. Oh, so this one would kind of fit in with what we have here. It must have a hand free, so this fits into our Brawler Style. So, strength versus AC, main weapon. One weapon, make a secondary attack. Strength versus reflex, unarmed. 3+ strength mod damage. So this is basically, you hit them with an attack and then you punch them. And the secondary attack is a versus reflex, which is generally going to be a little different than their AC. A lot of times lower than their AC. So I actually like this. I think this is really cool. I'm liking slash and pummel. I want to be a punchy fighter. So you can choose that. Second one, we're going to do knockdown assault. So that could be fun. Strength versus fortitude. That's an even more interesting one. And this is another one you can knock the target prone. That's kind of cool. I'm really leaning into this grappling strike. Because again, we get bonuses when we're grappling and stuff like that. So if we're gonna lean into it, I'm gonna do that. And then I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go back here because combat agility I just don't think is as useful. We're gonna go back to combat superiority. Yeah, go back to that because I just think it fits better with what we're doing. And that's something that would happen when you're building a character is you'll make a choice and then you'll go back and revise it. So, all right. So let's do the cool stuff. What I'm looking for, a lot of times you'll see me clicking on stuff with Martial Power 2. Martial Power 2 is where the Brawler Style came from. So a lot of the stuff from Martial Power 2 is going to be built for the Brawler Style. So as you can see, this one, you must have a hand free. You slide the target one square to a square adjacent to you. You grab the target until the grab ends. It takes a penalty to attack rolls equal to your Dex mod. The grab ends automatically at the end of your next turn. So this one is really cool. Does damage. It grabs them. It and it also gives them a penalty to attack rolls. So, and they're probably, because you're going to mark them with this as well, they're probably going to be attacking you, and you're just basically going to be like holding them and going poof, poof, poof. They're going so I like that. I'm going to go here, hack and hew. So, and this is another invigorating, so that one would more be focused on the Battle Rager fighting style. Serpent's Coil. This one's kind of cool. If you're wielding a flail, you grab the target. The grab ends automatically into your next turn. I like flails, so I might do that. Surprise stab. Really. So this one's another 2-weapon, and then takedown. And this is another. You must have a hand free. So 1 weapon strength modifier. You knock the target prone, and when charging, you can use power melee basic attack. So we could really go hard into the whole charging thing and make this just a character that just runs headlong into battle and is constantly kind of running around and stuff like that, which I kind of like. I think that would be fun. Especially, so there's a couple different ways that you could deal with marking depending on the kind of tank you were. The one that we did, or the kind of defender you were. The one we did before, marking was basically encouraging enemies to attack you because you always wanted enemies next to you. The other thing you can do is you can mark a target and then intentionally run away, and then they have no choice but to either join you and have to waste their move and stuff like that, or they have to attack someone else with a penalty. In some defenders, like the Sword Mage, is built around that kind of marking because the only benefit, or the big benefit to their mark, happens when you don't, when they hit someone else. Then you get a special attack you get to do. So I think it'd be really cool is if we built this to be kind of a fleeing marker. So where they mark someone and they run away from them. We'll want to do stuff that makes it easier for them to avoid opportunity attacks and stuff like that. But I think that's something that we can pull off. So I like this. You knock them prone. And that would actually make it easier for you to go away because being knocked prone gives you penalties to your attack rolls, so to make it easier. And they have to spend half of their speed to stand up, and so they wouldn't be able to follow you. This is a perfect for that kind of charger style fighter. So yeah, let's totally do this. And then daily power. Let's see this bristling defense. That's another 2-weapon fighter. Driving attack. So this one's kind of cool. So you first start out with this one. You hit them, do some damage, you push the target to square, and then you shift the square. So you basically push them and move with them. And then you make another attack, you push them 2 more squares, and you knock it prone. And even if you miss, you still push the target 1 square. So this actually works really, really well, despite the fact the invigorating tag would make me think, and the fact that it makes multiple attacks, would make me think it's for the Battle Rager. This would work really well for our particular fighter, because by pushing them 2 squares and knocking them prone, you can now run away or dash away or whatever you want to make your next attack. This would really help our kind of charging style. I want to see what other stuff they have before I go for sure on this. That's a shield one. We're not using a shield this time. Season Stab. This is a hand free, so 2-weapon moderate strength damage. You grab the target. Target cannot escape the grab until the end of its next turn. So this is okay. And again, it gives you a grab, and I'm sure we're going to get more stuff that lets us do cool grabby type stuff. But for right now, let's look at this one. Unstoppable Advance. Until the stance end, whenever you hit a creature with a melee weapon attack, push the creature a square and can shift a square. So that's very much a more control thing. I really, really like this driving attack. I think for the fighter we're trying to build, which is basically I just run into people and hit them, I think this would be really cool. So let's go ahead and choose that. We got that. We're going to go next. We're going to buy a... we have to pick feats. So this is interesting. You ignore difficult terrain when you run, which is different than charging. Gorbert Charge. Oh, this is good. So since, again, I did not think about the shifter as far as charging is concerned, but everything is going towards charging here. So Gorebrute Charge, +3 to damage on charge attacks during long truth shifting. So once you are shifted, which you have to be bloodied to do, but once you're shifted, you can get extra damage when you charge, which I love. Acrobatics and athletics. Temp hit when you use your shifter. And one dazing or weakening effect when you use a racial shifting power. And roll. Okay, I think we're going to go with this. Again, there's other stuff we can do here. Like, there's stuff specifically for Brawler style, where +1 to AC and reflex when one hand's free or grabbing. Netherworld. Increase the damage of unarmed attacks to 1d6 and Spike Gauntlet attacks to 1d8. So, yeah, I think I want to do that eventually too. But for right now, because we're building a charger, we're going to choose the charger. Do that. Then we're going to buy some equipment. So we start with always buy an adventurers kit. Got to get an adventurers kit. Armor. I don't think we have anything that's going to really be hurt, except for the fact that heavy armor gives us a speed penalty, and we don't want that. So I think we're going to go for a lower AC by a fair amount. Damn, because that's +3, or if we go here, it's +7. And that's just, they're not comparable. That's a 4 AC difference. Yeah, we're gonna lose a thing of speed. I think there's a feat we can take to get rid of that if we need to. But for right now, we're gonna get our scale armor. And then for a weapon, what I really think would be fun, because they mentioned it specifically. Where are you? Because I think we should be... Scourges are fun. A scourge is a flail with multiple bits on it, so that's... it's rough. Sherpo, Sling, Spike Gauntlet. So, Spike Gauntlet, we are literally going to be a punching... we're going to be a punching fighter. And again, we have that feat that can turn this even more powerful, but we're totally going to be a punchy fighter. And it's not super expensive either. So we're going to go ahead and buy that. So now we have that. It is in my main hand, right? I don't know why it's not showing up there. Okay, whatever. So we've got that there. I think that's all we need, because we don't need a shield, because we need our other hand free. Cool. We're going to go next. We're going to name our character. Well, first things first. How do I... Portrait. There we go. We're going to change the portrait real quick. There should be a portrait in here. This is all stuff that used to come with the thing. So there should be... This is all class portraits, which I don't need. I need race. If you want to be Drizzed, you can be Drizzed. Dragonborn, Dwarf. These are all the females. We are a dude. Male Dragonborn. There's Jim Dark Magic. Dragonborn. Dwarf. Eladrin, Elf. Half-elf, human, tiefling. Doppelganger. Drow, Durgar. Genasi. Do they not have shifters in here? This should not be that hard. Half-orc, hobgoblin, Kenku kobold. Shredder Kai. There's a Longtooth shifter. Due to the fact that Longtooth shifter is a girl, we're gonna use the portrait for the Razorclaw shifter. There we go. So that's what we look like. Let me go back to details. And what name we're gonna give? Tor, Ash, Rose, Storm. I'm sensing an X-Men theme here. Wonder if we put in our gender, if it will change what it's giving us. Claw, Storm, Flint, Thorn, Cliff, Brook. Really liked Brook. Let's do Flint. I'm good with Flint. Cool. We're going to do inherent bonuses again because we're not using magic items. So there. This is our fighter, Flint. And now it's time to level them up. We're only done half an hour at this point, so I might be able to get this uploaded today. So we're just going to go to level 10. We're not going to deal with any Paragon Paths or Epic Destinies or anything. We're just going to go to level 10. And now we get to do cool stuff. So it's going to start us in powers. So, fighter with Battle Fury stance. That sounds interesting. Interesting. So, as a minor action, you get a +2 power bonus to damage rolls, but you lose some AC, which I don't think is good for us. I think Close the Gap is what we had. No, it wasn't. Let's look for... again, I'm looking at Martial Power 2 to see some stuff. You must have a creature grabbed. You move your speed. For each square you move, you slide the creature grabbed by you by 1 square to a square adjacent to you. The creature remains grabbed. You do not provoke opportunity attacks from the grabbed creature for this movement. At the end of the move, you can end the grab to knock the creature prone. This is cool. It's your move action. Oh, I really like that for our charger. Because basically what would happen is if you have them grabbed, instead of moving like you normally would, you can use your move action to effectively drag them away from the enemy and then not, or from everyone else, then knock them prone. And I mean, that would be your move action at that point, but then you still have other things that you can do. So theoretically, you could use your charge, which is your standard action, I think. Oh, it's been so long since I've, let's go charge 4E. Yep, that's what it is. So charge is a standard action. So the way that charge works, this is the official description. A character performing a charge first selects a target, then moves up to the character's speed towards the target. Each square of movement must bring the character close to the target, and the movement must end at least 2 squares from the character's starting position. If something happens along the way that prevents them from completing the charge is lost. And then next, the character performs a melee basic attack or bull rush against the same target with a +1 bonus to the attack roll. And yeah, so the way that this character is being built now is effectively we could use Forceful Drag to just literally drag them away, plop them on the ground, and then use Charge to go hit another target. And so that would be really, really... that would fit us really, really well for how we're building this. So I think I'm going to keep Forceful Drag because I just like it, and it lets me do stuff with drag creatures. So yes. So we've got that. Fighter level 3 encounter power. Again, I'm sticking mostly the Martial Handbook 2. So, target target, knock the target prone. When charging, you can use this in place of melee basic attack. So this could be something that we could charge with. Let's see. Reaver's Hook sounds interesting. I'm not as thrilled with that. Shield Edge Block. That uses a shield. Slamming Rush. 1 creature grabbed by you, so another thing we can use a grab for. Effect. You move your speed for each... you slide the target. So yeah, it drags them just like we did before. And then at the end, you do a weapon. You knock the target prone. And if the target is adjacent to blocking terrain, add your dex bonus. So effectively what happens is with this, you drag them around, slam them into a wall or something. So this could be really fun to use because this is standard action. This could be really fun to use with that drag thing that we just had. I'm gonna check this real quick. That's a 2-weapon fighting one. So I'm liking this. This is what our fighter is. Is they just run around grabbing people and slamming them into things. I'm liking this. I think this is very interesting. So go ahead and choose that. We get a 5th level daily power, Bare Knuckle Rebuke. I wonder what this is. Till the stance ends, you can use Bare Knuckle Rebuke. Enemy adjacent to you misses with a melee attack. You must have a hand free. Strength modifier down the target grants combat advantage to you until the end of your next turn. I like this. This is basically as a minor action for the rest of combat. You just go, okay, I'm just gonna punch you a lot. How does that sound? I think it sounds great. I'm gonna punch you and punch you again and punch you more. Anytime they miss, and again, because we're gonna be doing things like provoking opportunity attacks, as long as we have a decently high AC, they're going to miss a fair amount. We can use this because it's just enemy adjacent to you misses with a melee attack. we can use this to deal with opportunity attacks, and then go on and do stuff. So I think this works really, really well. But let's look at some other ones just to be on the safe side. Crushing Foot. Encounter cannot move on its turn if it was grabbed by you at the start of its turn. That's interesting. So that's another one that kind of feeds into the grab. But I'm not sure I like it as much. Dervish's Challenge. That's a 2-weapon fighting one. That's we're not going to use. Relentless Pressure. That's a shield one. No, I think I really like Bare Knuckle Rebuke. I like punching people in the face. So let's choose that. Fighter Utility 6. Here's one. Makeshift Shield. You must have a hand free. An enemy hits you with a closer melee attack. You get a bonus to defense against the attack if you go to your Dex mod. I'm good with this, actually. Yeah, you grab their, you snatch a piece of furniture, a body, or discarded item to block the enemy's attack. So that would be cool. Our Dex mod isn't super high, but we're going to be getting it higher in a little bit as we add, because I think every 4 levels you get to increase stuff. So that'd probably be decent. Let's see what else we have. Ready to Retaliate. This is interesting. It lets you mark more people, which could be interesting. What else do we have? Unbalancing Dodge. So you already have something to deal with people missing you. I think I really like this Makeshift Shield thing. Because it fits into what our character's built for. And it makes for an interesting character. So yeah, let's do Makeshift Shield. Now we're doing our level 7. Bloody the Field. It's dazed. Okay. So none of that stuff is really that useful to me. Here's another hands-free one. So that you do some damage. Target is dazed until the end of the next turn, and then make a secondary attack. You punch him and you knock him prone. Everything that makes our character fun is right there. You get to hit them, you daze them, you knock them prone after you punch them in the face. How much better does this get? I am loving this character. I'm not even going to look at the other ones because maybe Hydra Charge sounds cool. Each enemy in the burst you can see. So close burst 1. Target -2 penalty to attack rolls to the end of your next turn. And then when charging. So this one could be really good because again, we're making a charging based character. So this one is really interesting. Basically, you could charge in and then instead of just hitting one enemy, you could charge, hit every enemy around you, and then they would all take -2 penalty to attack rolls until the end of your next turn. And then again, because we are built to take opportunity attacks, we could run away. They would have a less of a chance to hit us, and then we still have the ability to do our charging, running kind of stuff. So that could be interesting too. I think I like this one better because it lets me punch things. You guys may start noticing a theme in my choices that involve if you let me punch something, I will. So I think we're gonna do. Sorry, I'm really basic. I like punching. Like in my thought process in an environment where everyone around you is using things like flaming swords or shooting lightning bolts out of their hand or calling down the power of a deity to incinerate their foes, just going up and punching someone in the face, I think is the most badass thing ever. So one of the reasons I love monks, like one of the big arguments about monks is that they don't fit kind of the theme where it's supposed to be kind of European medieval thing, and martial artists are based on kind of a folklore version of like ancient Chinese monks or things like that. Like that's where the monk comes from, is kind of folklore version of like what's the dude's name? Not Ip Man. He was in Iron Monkey. He became really Wong Fei Hung. There we go. Wong Fei Hung, really really famous real person, but has been turned into kind of a legend and has a lot of folklore written around him. But he was a very famous martial artist. And he was, according to legend, he was known to basically call out the names of his attacks in the middle of combat. So, you know, if you ever see like old like kung fu movies where they go like monkey grabs the branch and stuff like that, that's them imitating the legend of Wang Fei Hung. He's also the most often portrayed character in Chinese history, in theater, in film. Literally hundreds, if not thousands, of actors have portrayed Wang Fei Hung because he's really, really popular. So yeah, a lot of people will complain. You know, it's like, well, that's from a different culture, and so it doesn't make sense in this high fantasy setting. And so what? There was trade with China going back years and years and years and years. You know, Middle Ages, they knew China existed. They were not completely immune to the idea of what martial arts was. And again, in a situation where people are throwing fireballs and wielding swords that are larger than they are, which didn't exist in history, I am perfectly fine with the idea of a dude coming up and punching someone in the face. So yeah, we're using Bludgeoning Vice because it's just cool. And then this is going to be our final daily for this character. Bone Crusher sounds fun. Wow, this is cool. So target gains vulnerable 10 to weapon attacks. So the way that vulnerability works in D&D, or in D&D 4th edition, is vulnerable 10 means anytime you get hit with an attack, that qualifies, like vulnerable 10 fire. Anytime you get hit by a fire attack, you take whatever the damage of the attack is plus 10. So this, anytime they get hit by a weapon, until they save out of it, they take 10 extra damage. So that also means that every single time you punch, or single time you make a weapon attack, if you make multiple weapon attacks, you're going to get 10 each time. So not only is this a really, really powerful attack, but on subsequent turns, or if the rest of your party hit him multiple times with weapon attacks, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So this one could be really, really useful. I don't think it fits with the fighter that we've made, where he's going to be running around constantly. This would really incentivize him to not run around and just focus on one person. But we could definitely make this attack work. Again, especially since it's 3 weapon damage. It's very nice. Let's look at some other stuff. Slowed and weakened saved ends. That's kind of nice because even if we do get hit by an opportunity attack, weaken means they do half damage. So that's really nice. I want to see Staggering Blow. This looks cool. Hand freeze. So this is for us. 3 weapon, and you push the target 3 squares. Target is dazed. Everything about this fits. Everything about this fits our character, because this is an attack where we can hit them, it knocks them away 3 squares, they're dazed, which means they get to use a move, a standard, or a minor action, not all 3. And we can run around to get into a spot to charge the next turn. So this fits everything we want. I do want to look what Unstoppable Assault is, because it sounds cool. And he moves during its turn to a square adjacent to you. It uses a shield, so we're not going to do that. Nope, Staggering Blow. We like that. Finally, we get our final utility power. Buddy Shield. Must have a hand free. Wait, this is cool. 1 creature other than the triggering enemy. Trigger, an enemy hits you with a melee ranged attack. I'm already loving this. Make a grab attack against the target. If you grab the target, the triggering enemy's attack deals half damage to you and half damage to them. Everything about this I love. It's literally somebody attacks you, you're like, oh really? And you pull their buddy in. Theoretically, because it says 1 creature and not like 1 enemy, if you had an ally next to you, you could just go, guys, help! But the goal of this would be to pick an enemy, and I really like it. I'm not even going to look at anything else. I just like that. So we do that. We have a cool setup here. I'm really liking it. Let's go next. Some feats. So we do want to do this one. Because again, that Brooder Brawler was going to be really, really helpful in just making us do more damage. Surprise enemies. There's another brawler one. Not going to be prone when you crit or grab. Crit on a grab or exploit that grab. I don't know what exploit. I can't remember what exploit means. But still, knocking an enemy prone would be useful. This is interesting. That's interesting. So to escape a grab in 4th edition, you have to beat one of their defenses, I think. But I don't think my Fortitude defense... Oh, Fortitude is higher than my AC for this one. So since I'm doing a ton of grabbing, that might be very useful. This could be interesting. So in your Affected Longtooth, if the creature's marked by you, you get extra damage. Let's look. Savage Axe, Shield Defense, Shield Push, Shield, Stout Shield, Swift Spear, and Bouncing Shield Shove. Wary Fighter. Substitute Wisdom for Dexterity. No, I don't need that. I thought we had one that let me... Well, here. Deal Dex modifier damage with a fail grab. So if I fail to grab something, I can do Dex mod damage. I thought there was one that let me use Dexterity instead of... Maybe that was a higher level thing. Oh, there it is. Agile, use Dex in place of Wisdom for combat superiority. We don't want Wisdom. We don't have a good Wisdom bonus, so we're going to do that. And then... Again, since we're going to be taking opportunity attacks, this would not be a bad one either to give us just extra AC is nice. Build up our reflex defense as well. Let's go back to the shifter, see what this stuff is. This will give us +3 to initiative, which is very, very nice. Lets us go first. I think I like that. Then we get one more. I think I want the... Because there was one that was... I think I like the Fortitude. Yeah, we'll do that. Just make us significantly more difficult to break out of. I'm going to look at the grab rules for 4E real quick, because I can't remember how it works. So minor actions is sustain the grab. And escape is a move action, allows the character to enter the grab condition. The escape creature either makes an acrobatics check against a DC, so if we're in this case it'd be my Fortitude, or an athletics check against that. The acrobatics checks against the... Oh, that's what it is. So if there's no DC, it's an acrobatics check against reflex or an athletics check against Fortitude. This forces you to always go against my Fortitude, which is one of my highest defenses. So I like that. Okay, that makes more sense to me. Again, it's been forever since I have run 4th edition. And we didn't use grabs in the last 4th edition game I ran. We're going to go here. We're going to increase strength, dex, strength, dex. We're good. Brings us up to a +3 for a dex mod, which is nice. We go here. We're not going to save right now. And then we're going to go... Let's look at this character sheet. See all the cool stuff that we can do. And I will... I know you guys can't see it right now. I have to make some changes here. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom. There we go. Boom, boom. All right. Here is our character sheet. So as you can see, we have a +11 to our initiative. So that's nice. Our speed is 5 instead of 6 because we didn't find any way to get rid of, or we didn't do anything to get rid of the bonus. There are more feats than the ones I showed you guys. The two groups of feats that I showed you were the racial feats and the class feats. There are a ton of just generic feats that you can take, and I think one of them in there gets rid of this armor penalty. I just didn't use it. So you can see for my melee basic attack of the Spike Gauntlet, it's plus 15 to attack and does a d8 plus 8 damage. My basic unarmed strike does a d6 plus 8 damage, and it's a plus 13. So that's kind of cool. Let's go down to, I have 79 max hit points. Me likey. Here's all my other cool stuff that I can do. We've already looked at. Let's look at the actual things. So, Bull Rush. This is the one time when I might actually keep these, because Bull Rush just lets you push the target. We're never going to be using Bull Rush. We will be using grab attacks on a fairly regular basis, but we have a bunch of things that lets us do those. So I don't need opportunity attack. And that's combat challenge, which is basically whenever remaining marked by you is adjacent to and shifts or makes an attack doesn't include you, you make a melee basic attack against that enemy. We already know that, and it doesn't give us, like here at least tells us what we're adding to it. This doesn't, so I don't need that. I just know that I can do that. And this is the one where we slash and pummel, so we cut them, or we punch them with the gauntlet, and then we punch them with our fist. Grappling strike, we do this, and we auto grab. So this allows us to make a grab. See, normally a grab would be a plus 13 versus reflex, and doesn't do any damage. Grappling strike allows us to plus 15 versus AC, which is generally going to be a little bit higher for most characters. But we do damage and get an auto grab. And then grabs in general, if you have them grabbed, if you use a minor action, you can extend the grab for longer if you want to keep them grabbed. And then this Brawler lets us do that. That's the Bare Knuckle Rebuke attack. We have our Long Tooth shifting here. I don't know why it has a plus 7 to attack there. It's just, I don't know what that's for. There's our takedown, so we can use when we're charging. Slamming Rush. You move your speeds. This is effectively a charge there. Bludgeoning Vice. Like, these are all the cool stuff. Here's our dailies. We get to punch people. Like, everything about this character, very, very cool. We've got our Forceful Drag. Where we just like, makeshift shield, which I still think is the coolest thing ever. Oh no, this is the one where you just pick up something at random. Body shield is the one where you literally just drag someone over and go, hit him too, which I think is super cool. So yeah, this is the exact same class as Dar, the character that we made yesterday. It's exactly the same. The difference is we chose a different fighting style effectively, and we chose a different powers. And again, we could have made a bunch of different choices. Again, even with the grabbing fighting style that we did, there was a lot of other choices. We didn't have to go the route of, we basically built a charger with this. We didn't have to go that route. We could have gone a completely different route and just focused more on kind of grabbing people and being a little more defensive like our last one. This is a very offensive fighter that is built around kind of marking people and then making sure that they can't hit you, so that they're making attacks at disadvantage or knocking them prone and then moving on to someone else. All of these things are helpful for the team, but this character plays very, very differently from the last one. In this one, you're going to be looking for easy ways to charge towards a different enemy and setting up your character in places where they will have the best chance of not provoking or the best chance of being able to do their charges and do those other things. So yeah, overall, I think it's a really cool character. I hope this gets you guys excited about 4th edition. Like I said, I think 4th edition is amazing. It is still my favorite version of the D&D. It's not that I don't like 5th edition. 5th edition is freaking awesome, and it is absolutely fantastic. But 4th edition is a spectacle. And I think, to be perfectly honest, I think longevity-wise, it makes sense for me that fifth edition has lasted a lot longer than fourth edition, and has lasted longer than literally any other edition. It is a well designed RPG that can appeal to a lot of different people and a lot of different play styles. Fourth edition has a much narrower scope. As you can see, almost every ability in here this is a very combat focused style. It doesn't mean you can't role play. I've done some amazing role playing in fourth edition, but it shines the most when there's fairly regular combat. Whereas in a lot of my D&D games, we will go 2-3 sessions without rolling initiative for combat, just because we do a lot of role playing in it. And like I said, I ran 4th edition campaigns exactly like that. But anyway, I got to get this ended so I can upload it before this day is over. So that is going to be all for me. Like I said, I am going to make a Transformers character because you guys suggested it, and I think it'll be fun. So I will make it before the month is up. I don't know if that's going to be tomorrow or what. But if you have other weird stuff that you guys want to see me do, and not even in this system, if there's other systems you want to see me make characters in, as long as I own them and they have a form fillable PDF bare minimum, or they have an online character builder, which a lot of systems are starting to move towards. I'm good. I love making characters. Like I literally used to waste hours of my time. I had like 20 different characters back when 4th edition was current, and I had a subscription to the character builder. Like I had so many characters. I think I still have a few saved on my computer somewhere, though I have no idea where. Because that was like 4 computers ago, and so I transfer files every time I upgrade my computer, but it's in some folder buried under transfer. So anyway, again, that's all for me today. I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye bye.